Hi, folks. Bob Mannery here. You're listening to A2D Radio, real sports talk radio for the fans, by the fans, no agenda. These guys are the best in the business. Hashtag it. No notes.
It's Monday night. The Sports Hounds are live. A2D Radio, A2D Live, Mount E from New Jersey. We are in the Real Talk Studios. A dark, dark day in Philadelphia. In my 30 years of being an Eagles fan, I have never seen a more pathetic, putrid performance in a big spot than I saw last night. The Eagles go down big to division rival Dallas Cowboys. We're here to talk about it. We're here to console the family. We're here to place blame. We got NBA talk. We got the Flyers on. We got the World Series starting tomorrow. We got a lot of things going on. I'm Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, as always. Frank Vesby on the ones and twos. We're going to get right into it. As always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC. Certified accountants, visit GibsonMayerLLC.com. There are certified public accountants. Make them yours, too. Let's get right into it. Poll question. As always, our poll question brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy, Dr. Paul Vidal. 3 convenient locations, no appointment necessary. Visit SpecializedPhysicalTherapy.com for more details. Coaching is to blame for last night's massacre, total debacle in Dallas. Hashtag agree, hashtag disagree. Brad, I'm going to kick it to you while I kind of gather my thoughts here because, as you can imagine, I'm not a happy camper today. I'm embarrassed. I don't even know what words. I'm furious. I'm angry. I'm infuriated. Embarrassed is really the main word that comes to mind. But, Brad, agree, disagree. Coaching is to blame for last night's debacle.
I don't think it's all
Dallas.
I don't think it's all coaching, but I mean, certainly defensively right now, there's this team's a mess. I mean, you have receivers that are so wide open that they're making an example of which one was it? The one where Prescott scrambled and then to the right and then threw the ball to a receiver that was so wide open there was nobody in the TV.
We'll get to that play. I didn't have that play outlined or that
was,
scenario outlined, but that was certainly another one.
Well,
the Jabrones aren't lined up right. They have 12 guys on the field. Malcolm's telling the one idiot to get off the field. Then right as they're about to snap the ball, they're trying to get themselves in order. And you can't just do that in the NFL. They roll out. He's wide open.
The second string tight end kind of just he took one step towards the middle and then kind of like casually snuck out there, and then Dak
he ran an out.
Right.
He ran a simple out route.
And then nobody bothered to pick him up.
No, because the Eagles thought that they were going to run the ball, and they didn't.
Well, the problem is, they put themselves in these situations. They get the 2 early turnovers, and then Dallas basically runs the ball down their throats. Gets ahead early in the game, and it's a shame that they weren't able to really go with their running game because Jordan Howard was giving them a real nice running game yesterday. I thought he played very, very well, and then
he had 8 carries for 38 yards in the first quarter.
And then they went away from it.
And then they put in Miles Sanders, who, look, I like Miles Sanders. He's got a lot of potential, but he's got a lot to learn. He has no vision. He wants to just go, 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 go. He missed a hole that was you drive a tractor trailer through it on third and 4. Jordan Howard hits that hole and gets a first down. 8 carries, 38 yards in the first quarter. Then I didn't see Jordan Howard again until the third quarter. And then
that makes no
past
sense.
the first 2 possessions in the second half, you can't run the ball then. Down 14-0, you don't have to abandon the run.
It's the first quarter. No, you don't have to do that. And really, what they needed to do was try to, just calm the game down. Level it out. And get the game back under control again. Keep your defense off the field so that they get over the shock of giving up the 2 quick touchdowns, and basically stabilize the game. And it just seemed like they didn't do it. And at this point, it's getting to a point now with the Eagles. I get it that they still have the easier part of their. The Cowboys are going to have a very difficult schedule towards the end of the year, but right now the Eagles, the way they're playing right now, I got to question if they can go into Buffalo and win right now. I mean, that to me is not.
It's going to be a hard game.
That is
Buffalo, not necessarily the most talented team in the league, but they're well coached. They're physical. They're good in the trenches. They got a great defense. They got a great home field advantage.
They're not going to score a lot of points.
And Josh Allen seems to do just enough. The one light about that game is they don't have really good receivers. So
no, they won't be able to capitalize on the Eagles' biggest weaknesses, which is their secondary. So, I mean, it should be a low-scoring game, and that's something I think the Eagles need to have at this point. But I mean, they basically have turned two good offenses in Dallas and Minnesota, and they just made them look sensational, and that's really surprising and disappointing for an Eagle fan to have to.
I mean, did Zeke have a run last night where he got taken down by the first attempt at a tackle?
No, and it looked like Dallas was just. I mean, other than the one guy that came back from injury on the right-hand side. They kept going around him. I can't remember what his name was. Who was
Tyron Smith, 77.
Yeah, 77.
The left tackle.
Yeah, they were.
Shouldn't have been out there. He wasn't healthy.
They were going around him every time. But other than that, it just seemed like the Cowboys were pushing them around, and the Eagles never pushed back. And that's very surprising because the Eagles are definitely a physical type of team. I mean,
They're
no reason
built to be.
Yeah, there's no reason for them not to push back.
They have how much money, how much high draft capital invested in the trenches. They certainly should be a physical team.
Well,
they got punked out last night.
They got. I mean, this is what's disturbing is this is 2 weeks in a row, and 2 weeks where they look terrible. I mean, last year, they had their bad game. With
they
New
showed
Orleans,
more heart.
They
showed more heart getting back in the game against Minnesota. It didn't work out for them in the end, but. Last night they were dead in the water from the first kickoff.
No, and they weren't paying attention to detail. They fumbled the ball twice. I mean, you just can't do that, especially on the road. Especially when you're looking at a team, the Dallas Cowboys, who at this point, had lost 3 in a row, and they were absolutely desperate to get going and get a win. And, the Eagles did not match the desperation, and the Eagles are now at a point. At a crossroads this season, if they lose again in Buffalo, and Dallas wins their next game, and they have a 2-game lead, that's more like
Dallas is a bye next week.
Okay, all right, so Dallas isn't going to lose, but if the Eagles lose again, they're going to be 2 games behind the Cowboys in the loss column, which is more like 2.5 because the Cowboys won that game. And the head-to-head matchup. Keep in mind there is a tiebreaker for points for and points against, and the Eagles. The Eagles are putting themselves in a very bad hole right now. They're not going to get the wild card. That's basically, I think that's a given at this point. They're not going to get a wild card now. They're putting themselves in a position where they almost have to.
And I don't think Dallas is going to get a wild card either. It's going to be a one bid league, one bid division when it comes to the playoffs.
Right, but the problem is if it's a one bid division, okay. That means they have to win the division, and now they've lost to the Cowboys. They got destroyed by the Cowboys, and the way they got beat up yesterday, I just don't have any confidence in the Eagles when the Cowboys come into Philly and are able to turn it around that much to beat them. That's going to be a problem.
It's a big problem.
It's
a big problem.
They really missed Deshaun Jackson. They just don't have the outside speed right now. The receivers, especially Aguilar. I mean, I don't know what's going on with Aguilar, but Aguilar has suddenly become
he's a wuss.
Yeah, he's suddenly become the Philadelphia edition of Ron Dane. And for those of you who were Giant fans who remember Ron Dane, a 250-pound running back who chose not to try to run over people but try to run around them, and that doesn't work.
What do you mean? When he was the
I'm not talking about when he was in Wisconsin running everybody over.
Yeah, but he was a big guy.
Yeah, well, when he was with the Giants, he didn't run anybody over. He tried to run around them.
It's like DeMarco Murray when he slid out of bounds quarterback style with the Eagles.
Yeah, well, Ron Dane would never run anybody over. He was he was the anti-Brandon Jacobs.
He gator-armed the ball. It's 3 weeks in a row. Carson kind of missed him on the Jets. Then he gator-armed against the Vikings, and he gator-armed last night. I don't think Carson Wentz, he's certainly not the problem. He's a really good player, but I don't think he had his best game last night.
No, by all means,
any
he didn't,
stretch of the imagination.
I do want to mention something. You know, in watching Carson Wentz, okay, he still looks like he's very, very accurate as a passer, but I mean, you can see he's not athletically as gifted now as he was when he first came in the league. I mean, he doesn't run as fast. I don't know if it's his back or the knee.
I think
or the combination
he's
of both,
more
but
cautious now because he got hurt last year. He
Yeah,
tore
he
his ACL because he was running around, and he probably hurt his back last year because he was running around. So
But he
I
just
think he's
doesn't
more.
seem.
Yeah, I think he's more apprehensive. I think it's in there if he wants it to be, but I think he's more apprehensive to be
It just seems to me
that mobile
and
style
again,
quarterback.
It just seems
So when
to
he
me
has to
that
spin around and avoid the rush, he can do that. And he's unbelievable at throwing on the run.
No, he's good at like avoiding the like spinning out and then the quick strike. But it just seems like if he has to run towards the sideline, roll out because he's being pressured, he just doesn't seem to have that speed like he did when he first came in the league, where he could take the ball upfield and be a very dangerous player, a dangerous runner. He doesn't seem to have that anymore. And again, I don't know if it's his injuries or he's a little gun shy about doing it, but that's something that I think he needs to. They need to get that back.
He has the athleticism to do it. I've seen it all year.
Yeah, but I think that's part of his game right now that he needs to get back again, because if you're not going to have Deshaun Jackson, you're missing that speed. And you know what? At this point, they can back up and not let these receivers get behind him. Wentz has to make them pay. And the other thing is that I noticed was when Dallas was putting 8 men in the box, the Eagles could not adjust to it at all. I mean, they were letting guys run free, and that was a problem last night. And it seemed like right now the Eagles look like they're always playing a man short. That's what it looks like to me. They kind of look on offense. They kind of look a lot like the Giants, and actually on their defense, they kind of look a lot like the Giants. They're not communicating in the defensive secondary. They once in a while get pressure on the quarterback, but they don't do it consistently. They're missing a real good player, but they're also not they're not capitalizing on what they have, which is Jeffrey, who's a very, very good player. I don't know what's going on with Ertz. It seems like Ertz has been playing with his head in the sand. I mean,
there's some interesting comments.
Something is going amiss in with the Philadelphia Eagles right now, and I don't.
It's a miss is right. I'm going to get to my poll question, and I absolutely agree with the poll question. The leadership on this football team has lost control, and it starts with the head coach, Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson has not put a game plan together that has allowed this team to start fast from week 1 against the Washington Redskins to last night against the Dallas Cowboys. You got to do better in the first quarter. Whose fault is it? You got to have your guys ready to play. They struck me as unprepared, and the game was over, virtually over, after Dallas Goedert fumbled that football, and Dallas went up 7-0. You just got that feeling in the pit of your stomach that it wasn't going to be okay.
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't get the pit of my stomach after the first fumble, but the second one, when they went in and they scored again, I just got this feeling, game over. This is it. They're done. They're not winning this game now. Because they put themselves, I mean, you can't do that. You've got to come out and you got to protect the football, and you've got to be prepared to play, especially on the road. I mean, this is ridiculous. They've now lost 3 terrible losses on the road.
Right, and this is why
they beat Green Bay because they were ready to play against Green Bay.
They haven't been ready to play except for that game.
Yeah.
Even then, they went down.
Right, but you can understand the going down in Green Bay.
I understand, but
because Aaron Rodgers,
Brad, it's every game.
Great.
They're not ready to go from the jump.
No, and
they're not ready to go.
And I'll tell
you
you
got to play 60 minutes in this league.
They were getting eaten alive in the first half by the Washington Redskins too.
Terribly.
I mean, this has gotten to a point now. If you get behind the Buffalo Bills with that defense, you're going to lose that game too.
But, it goes back to Monday. Doug Peterson comes up, big balls Doug, which everybody loves, and I like it too, says they're going to go down to Dallas and win the game. He spent the whole week backpedaling. like a big pussy, and he doesn't get his guys ready to play at all. You don't think a guy's here that, oh, wow, our coach made a big time statement. Let's go win. Then the whole rest of the week, all he's doing is backpedaling. Takes an effect on the locker room. That's not being a leader. That's why I'm not saying Doug Peterson should be fired because I think he's an okay coach. But they're 12-11 since the Super Bowl. Let's face it, the guy fell ass backwards into a championship. It was a perfect storm of luck with a backup quarterback and just a perfect storm, a magical group of guys, and Doug and Howie fell ass backwards into a championship. And the further we get from February 2017 when the Eagles won Super Bowl 52 over the New England Patriots, the more I think that the geniuses that were behind that Super Bowl championship are now elsewhere. Frank Reich has a very good team with a backup quarterback in Jacoby Brissett. They're in first place in the AFC South. John DeFilippo, look what he's done with Gardner Minshew in Jacksonville. I mean, they're not the greatest team in the world, but it's Jacksonville. But he's doing the best he can.
They're competing, that's for darn sure.
And Joe Douglas is now in New York. So the further we get from Super Bowl 52, the worse and worse Doug looks. Doug, the heat's getting turned up in your seat, buddy. This isn't February 2017. And for all these Eagles fans that think that this is a blasphemous thing for me to be saying, guess what? Doug Peterson's not entitled to be the coach of the Philadelphia Eagles for life because he won the Super Bowl. Tom Landry got fired. Bill Parcells has gotten fired.
Tom Coughlin got fired.
Tom Coughlin got fired.
And
Bill Belichick's been fired.
Yeah, guess what? Tom Coughlin won 2 Super Bowls and got fired.
It's true.
So, and you know what? You get to a point. You get to a point where if the team is not going to be competitive,
let me ask you this:
you don't get to keep your job.
Let me ask you this, Brad. These coordinators and position coaches, who's in charge of putting together the staff?
Well, that would be the head coach.
Head coach. He continuously, year after year, lets Mike Groh, incompetent, doesn't get the best out of Carson Wentz. I don't even know who the quarterback coach is right now, but the fact that I don't know his name means he's probably not doing that good of a job. Jim Schwartz is not a good defensive coordinator. Deuce Staley. Deuce, you were a great player, a great Eagle. Like, I really liked watching you growing up, but, you know, the way they rotate running backs, which is supposedly all on Deuce, is terrible. For him to just trot out these incompetent position coaches that don't get the best out of their talent, Carson is not an RPO quarterback. He's not.
No, he really is.
He's not. Nick Foles is an RPO quarterback.
He's not. He does not have this straightaway.
Carson Wentz would just throw out the RPOs. Miles Sanders, I love you, but I mean, Jordan Howard's a better back at this point in his NFL career than Miles Sanders is.
You know who Jordan Howard kind of reminds me of? Blunt.
Exactly.
Was it Blunt? Yeah, Blunt. The guy who was the Bull when they won the championship.
So for Doug Peterson to continue, I mean, Corey Unlin, the Eagles have 6 cornerbacks under the age of 28. They can't get anything out of any of them. And I'm here out Corey Unlin's this defensive back mastermind. I don't see it. Jim Schwartz is so stubborn in his ways that, you know, he's not getting the best out of Barnett with his wide nines. There's no linebackers on this team. Everyone wants to point the finger at Howie can't draft. Maybe Doug, and his coaching staff can't develop talent.
Maybe they're just playing the wrong schemes. That could be it too. You know,
but that should be that's on Doug to get people in there to let them succeed. And then you get the post game. You have Lane Johnson spilling the beans to the media that people are late to practice, people aren't being accountable. That reflects on leadership. Then you have Malcolm Jenkins on 94 WIP this afternoon. Listen to it on my ride over here to the Real Talk Studios. Says he doesn't know what Lane's talking about. You have an anonymous player. Howard Eskin reports today the anonymous player to Alshon Jeffrey that's reporting that Josina Anderson. It's a mess right now, and all this controversy, especially with that off-the-field stuff with Lane Johnson, Malcolm Jenkins, Alshon Jeffrey, 3 guys that are supposed to were key parts in that Super Bowl team, there's just a rift. And I don't know if it can be fixed. This is really going to be on Doug. And I got news for you. If they lose this game to Buffalo this weekend, Brad, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. This could really get bad.
With some of the games they have coming up, they're going to really have their work cut out for them.
All right, let's get to some comments here. Eric Tomalonius, we have Doug P. That's how. Frank, can you help me with the Facebook comment? They're all.
Yeah, they've been all over the place.
They get all out of order on my thing.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Facebook does that with the live streams real quick.
Hey, Bryce Blackwell thinks they got to blow up this team.
Let me see.
We have Eddie Sanchez. We need a new receiving core. Let's see. What else do we have?
The receivers are terrible. The receivers are terrible.
David Rosca wants to let everybody know that the Rams won. Yes, we know. They finally won.
All right, so Eric Tomalana says he knows that it sounds crazy,
let me do him on
but he thinks they're going to be okay.
Let me do him on my phone, Frank.
Foolish Demon wants to blow up. Foolish Demon wants to blow up the defense.
What do you mean? What can you do in Week 8 of the NFL to blow up your team?
I don't know.
You got who you got.
Yeah, change. The only thing you can really do at this point, Mr. Demon, is
if the
Rams try some new schemes.
I got news for you though. If the Rams don't win the Super Bowl this year with Jalen Ramsey, they got problems because how are they going to pay all these guys?
Well, they're going to start losing guys.
They have Gurley inked. They have Goff inked. They have Donald inked. You're going to have to sign Ramsey. You can't give up all that and not sign him.
Well, yeah. He'll stay there though. Why would anybody want to leave Los Angeles?
Everybody
loves.
But, I mean, you have their offensive line. I know they crushed the Falcons yesterday, but
yeah, but everybody's been crushing the Falcons
except the Eagles.
Yeah, well.
Andy Ritter, have a great show, boys. Check out Andy every Sunday at 5 with In This Very Ring. Ryan Jansen, oh boy, I'm ready to hear from you guys. I mean, I wish you were hearing from us on a lot better circumstances there, Ryan. Ralphie, my guys, what's up, Ralphie? Ralphie's on the fix with our man Frank here every Wednesday at 6. Kyle Meager disagrees. Everyone and everything is to blame for the loss. It was pathetic all around. Yeah, that includes coach. I mean, I question the leadership of this team right now, and that starts with Doug. And I'm putting Doug right on the hot seat. I don't think he's entitled to be the coach of this football team forever because he brought the city its first Super Bowl championship ever. I'm just not in that.
Let's put it this way: you can build a statue of him, but that doesn't mean you can't fire him if he's not. Doing
Every
the
coach
job.
gets fired unless you coach for the Steelers.
Eddie Sanchez made a good comment here about the fact that the Eagles don't seem to use a lot of play action passes.
No, because it's all RPO.
But they should. He's not wrong though. They should do some play action. I think it would open up.
You
got to
commit to the run first.
Well, they were in the first quarter, and then
then they just put Sanders in and forget about Howard.
Right, and then they panic and then start throwing on every down, which is exactly what you don't want to do when you get behind early like that. You want to the way to stabilize the game is to get the ball, go on a nice long drive, keep your defense off the field for a while, and score and get yourselves back in the game.
Look, even though after the second fumble and they go down 14-0, the Eagles fan in me just said this game's done. But it shouldn't have been done. They got it to 14-7.
Yeah, I know they did.
They hit a beautiful pass by Wentz to Goddard. Beautifully designed play.
But then Dallas gets it right back.
Right.
And then to add insult to injury, they get the 63-yard field goal, which
I knew that was money. That guy's a pretty good kicker.
Yeah, but 63 yards? 63 yards? Jesus. Are you kidding me?
He buried it, too.
Yeah, he did.
Eileen Pompey, good evening, General. Good evening, Eileen. Thanks for checking in. See the Patriots logo on her Facebook profile picture. Hopefully they get the win tonight for you. Game was over after the first fumble. I haven't seen a loss like this in a long time. That's from Kyle. Kyle, I've been watching this team a long time. I've never seen a loss like that. I've never seen just a 60-minute pathetic effort like that at all. And in other news,
And
6 minutes left in the second period. The Flyers are up 3-0, and they are on the Pico power play. So
yes.
a little
and
light.
And by the way, Elliott's in goal tonight. So
Yep, Carter Hart night off.
Yeah, just wanted to mention that because Carter
The
Hart
Knights are lucky. It's only 3-0.
It could
Fleury's,
be worse.
Fleury is getting peppered.
Yeah, Fleury's played well. It's not his fault. I mean, the Flyers just tonight look terrific.
Eric Tomolius, I know this sounds crazy, but I think we're going to be okay. I mean,
based on
what, Eric? I mean, look, I'm a big Eagles fan, big 4-for-4 Philly sports fan, but for you to sit here and tell me this team's going to be okay after last night, I mean, I think you need to have your head examined.
Also,
cow pukes aren't going anywhere.
What is going on with Fletcher Cox?
Eric, I asked him to explain. He said, "Watch and learn." Like, I mean, okay.
Another goal, by the way.
That's nice 4-0 right there.
Boy,
that is nice
Flyers,
4-0 by the Fly
tonight,
guys right
the Flyers
there.
tonight are.
Knights are a good team.
Yes, they are. The Flyers
the
have come
orange.
to play tonight.
Getting it done down at the barn. What were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
Regarding
Fletcher Cox.
Fletcher Cox, what is going on with him?
I thought his best game of the season was against Minnesota, but that still wasn't good.
Yeah, I mean, but Fletcher Cox was dominating. He was a dominating player. He is not dominating the game
He's not
right now.
dominating anything. You're absolutely right.
He is not a guy right now that you have to make your game plan around because he's such a big factor. I mean, he's playing like a slightly above average player. He's not all over the field and creating havoc.
No, and Brandon Graham was missing in action last night as well. And I didn't like the Brandon Graham contract from the second he signed it. He was injured last year. He's a declining player. You don't give them big extensions. You just don't do it.
Well, as I said,
the mentality of
this
the
problem with the Eagles right now is
but the mentality of this front office
they're
is
getting
just
old.
like,
they're getting old. They're not bringing in younger players.
Look at how the Patriots do things, Brad. They have a new roster outside of a couple of key guys.
Well, because they're great at drafting.
They're great at drafting, and they find these free agents that are hungry to win. The Eagles seem content. Okay, we had this 2017 core. We're sticking with this core, and we're going to see how many we can pile up. It doesn't work like that in the NFL. And that's Howie's fault, and whoever helps Howie, now that Joe Douglas is gone. So the leadership of this team is to blame for the state. It starts with Doug Peterson. I'm not pleased with Howie Roseman. I'm not pleased with the position coaches. And you get to the on-the-field guys, Lane Johnson. I don't like him saying that to the media about guys being late and have to be accountable. I don't like Malcolm Jenkins bitching.
No, you got to keep. That's the kind of stuff you got to keep in the locker room.
I don't like Malcolm Jenkins bitching and moaning all offseason for a raise, and then he hasn't made a play all year. He looks very old and very overrated right now. Team leaders.
Well, that's the problem. The problem right now is
Doug P.
I mean,
seat's getting hot, Dougie.
He's
got to respond.
He's gonna have to do something pretty drastic pretty soon.
Eileen Pompey. Maybe Peterson should have shut his mouth last week, guaranteeing a win against Dallas. He should have kept quiet. Honestly, I mean, I can't argue with that. Can't argue with that. That's 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. Bulletin board material comes back and bites this team in the ass. This team's not good enough to be calling guys out in the media.
No.
If you're the Patriots and kicking everybody's ass week in, week out, winning Super Bowls every year.
They don't do that either.
They don't do that either.
Yeah.
Zach Brown got cut.
Yeah,
because
for chirping.
of his
for
chirping.
Yeah.
They say it's performance related, but he got cut because he was chirping.
Yeah, and
be real about it.
Yeah, it's gotta.
What's Doug's consequence going to be? Did the same thing.
Yeah,
and he didn't answer the bell. Doug Peterson did not have the boys ready to play in the biggest game of the season. I mean, you can't get him ready. You can't get him up for Dallas. I mean, come on. You'd be kidding me.
It's getting to a point. I don't know what they have to do to get these guys more involved. I mean, if it's that his game plans are bad, and the other teams are jumping on them because they have a bad game plan, I don't. I mean, he's got to change something up because it seems like every game that the Eagles are involved in, the other team seems to.
You know what else
seems to-
pisses me
seems
off
to
about
jump
Doug
on them.
Peterson right now and why I think he's a clown? The first sentence out of his mouth at every press conference is, "Oh yeah, we're banged up, we're really injured, but we're not going to use that as an excuse."
You are using
again,
it as an excuse.
if it's the
because
first thing you say at the damn press conference, then you are using it as an excuse.
yeah,
Like,
I mean,
hello, you got to make it work, Doug.
the problem is, Doug, is that every team has injuries. Injuries are a part of the NFL. If you get too ravaged, you're just not going to win in the NFL. We know that. But you know what? Good teams are able to overcome injuries. Bad teams are not. Bad teams become non-competitive when they get a lot of injuries.
Like, do you think Doug thinks he's a better coach than he is because he just fell ass backwards into a Super Bowl championship with a perfect storm of players and Nick Foles and the whole thing? I think he thinks he's like Vince Lombardi, and you think he's better? Think he's a better coach than he is?
I think he's got
Same
a
with
little,
Jim Schwartz.
I think they both have the Mike Martz syndrome. Remember Mike Martz when he was with the Rams?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that there's a little Mike Martz syndrome going on. Now, Mike Martz, if you remember, was the coach of the Rams, and they won the Super Bowl with him as the offensive coordinator. And
Right.
when Vermeil
Dick
retired,
Vermeil was the head coach.
yeah, when Dick Vermeil retired, Martz became the head coach, and Martz was doing a lot of bizarre things like going for it on 4th and 3 on your own 25-yard line, because we're the and his comment after the game when they didn't make it was, "We went for it because we're the Rams." Well, you know what? You can't coach like that. You have to look, and you also have to take a look at your game plan, because if the other team is jumping on your team every week and getting big leads, it may be that the team's not ready to play, but maybe the game plans aren't right, or maybe the other teams are doing such a good job scouting your team because you're doing the same damn thing all the time that you need to do something different. You need to change things up. I mean, obviously somebody is scouting the Eagles and everybody seems to have their number, and then then Doug goes and at halftime and seems to adjust to the game and do a bit better job. And it seems like the Eagles do come back in the second half, but they're when you're as far behind as they've been lately, and I mean yesterday it was 27-7, the week before was 24-3. I mean, this cannot continue.
And then they went down the field in the third quarter, and then Wentz missed the post to Jeffrey. Wentz missed him by a mile. He missed him high by a mile. You remember that one?
Yes. And again,
Jeffrey had inside position on the post. All he had to do was put it right in his numbers, and it would have been a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, these are things
he missed him by a mile.
These are things that can't happen when you're on the road. You've got, especially against teams like the Cowboys, who are usually very good at home. The Vikings, who are always really good at home. When you get opportunities, you have to take advantage of your opportunities. I mean, you look back at the Green Bay game, and I mean, they really played a great game. I don't understand how you can go to Green Bay and you can really own both sides of the ball in the trenches. I mean, they owned the offensive line, the defensive line owned Green Bay's offensive line.
That's the only game of the season where they looked like the championship caliber football team.
Why can you do that against a top team like Green Bay? I mean, how many losses does Green Bay have this year? One?
That's it.
Isn't that their only loss?
That's it. Just the Eagles.
How the hell can the Eagles be the only team that beat Green Bay and be the only team that lost to Atlanta? I mean, somebody needs to explain to me how the hell that can happen, because this is starting to not make sense. And I mean, listen, you guys have some real tough home games coming up. You got Seattle at home, you got New England at home, you still have to play the Bears. I mean, this isn't going to be so easy. And the way you're playing
the Bears
right
stink.
now,
If they lose to the Bears, then.
Well, you know what? The way they're playing right now, they're going to struggle with the Bears. You know what? They're going to struggle with the Giants. Because they're looking like the Giants right now. They're playing like the Giants. They're playing the same stupid football and making a lot of mistakes, committing turnovers, and just not being very smart on the field. And this whole thing just seems to continue. And they take costly penalties. They take dumb penalties when they don't need to. I mean, it it just seems like it just goes on and on and on. It's the same thing every week.
Sorry, had to wet the whistle.
That's okay. No, but am I wrong about that?
No.
Because I've been watching the Eagles this year. I've been watching a lot of their games because they're not usually on at the same time.
Here's
as the Giants.
Here's a comment by Kyle. Brady has no name receiving every single year, and he produces. I don't get the issue because the Patriots have Josh McDaniels as their offensive coordinator, who's a fantastic offensive coordinator. Probably going to be the head coach there when Bill Belichick steps aside.
He
knows how to get the most out of his players. This coaching staff does not know how to get the best out of Carson Wentz, nor the receivers, nor the running game. And Jim Schwartz has no idea how to do anything.
And by the way,
and Corey Unlin stinks too.
The Patriots have an excellent offensive line, and this year, defensively, they've been historically good to start the season. So there's something to be said about that. And you know what? If it depending on what's going on with Pat Mahomes, how long he's out, if the Chiefs don't make the playoffs, I just don't see anybody that could possibly beat them.
Well, that division stinks.
I understand that, but still, I mean,
you're Ravens. You're not a Ravens guy.
You know the Ravens.
It's a big win yesterday in Seattle.
I get that, but you know what? They were so bad last year in the playoffs. Their quarterback.
Oh, the Ravens? Yeah, but Lamar Jackson has developed a lot this season, don't you think?
Yeah, he's gotten better. But again, you know, I want to see him in a big spot.
Yeah, it's a pretty big spot. Yeah, I know it's not a playoff game or anything, but
listen, do I think that the Ravens are going to win that division? Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they're.
Well, yeah,
they're going to run away.
Bengals are 0-7.
Yeah,
did they win yesterday? The Bengals? No, they lost.
They lost. They're terrible. The Bengals are terrible.
The
Steelers are no good. Are no good. And who's the other team?
The Browns.
The Browns are just disappointing. What are they? They're 2-4 right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the Browns.
All bark and no bite there in Cleveland in the dog pound.
Yeah. Well, I told you that.
You did. You had it. You had that.
That's the two teams that I predicted the last 2 years that were gonna fall on their faces were the Jacksonville Jaguars last year and the Browns this year. And so far, the Browns are making me. Those two teams are making me look like I actually know what I'm talking about. But you can tell I did not see this. I have to tell you though, I did not see this coming from the Eagles. I did mention at the beginning of the season that I thought they were getting a little old, but I didn't expect to see. Games where they're giving up 38 and 37 points consecutively in a row.
And
that's shocking. I mean, that's a lot. Listen,
I speak for the entire fan base where I thought that Carson Wentz with this line and I thought they were going to be much more explosive on offense.
I mean,
obviously, Deshaun being hurt puts a kink in that, but
it shouldn't be this much though.
Nelson Aguilar, he had a good season when they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and you know what? He was pretty daggone good last year too. What is going on with him? I mean, is he hurt?
I think his brain is hurt. All right, Brian Wilson checks in.
I mean, I just wonder if he's hurt because he's not aggressively going out and getting the ball.
I'm disgusted. I said yesterday I hate the backpedaling, the guarantee, and it made us look like pussies, and we played like pussies. That's well put by Brian.
Ouch.
Brian Wilson, he is on Agree to Disagree every Sunday with Tom and Greg and Sweeps every Sunday night, 6 p.m. Yeah, I mean, look, and these fans that want to rip me because I don't think the Eagles are going to finish 12-4 or 11-5, grow up. Grow up. This team stinks right now. I'm not so sure that they're going to beat Buffalo. Buffalo's good.
Buffalo is a real good defense.
If you play like a bunch of pansies, if you go up to Buffalo and aren't ready to play, you're going to get hit in the mouth. You're going to get hurt.
You're not going to score a lot of points against Buffalo.
No.
Buffalo's defense is tremendous this year. New England only scored a touchdown. They got one touchdown against Buffalo, and New England is a very, very good offensive football team. They got one touchdown against Buffalo. So, you know what? The Eagles had better come out, and they better come out with a good game plan, because if they don't, they're going to get punched in the mouth again.
Kyle Meager, Wentz was the worst-rated QB according to Pro Football Focus in Week 7, worse than Mitchell Trubisky. Yeah, I mean, I said it. I mean, I get Wentz is like the golden boy, and if you criticize Wentz, some of the fan base just attacks you because I get it. He's a really good quarterback, but he didn't have his best stuff last night, not by a long shot.
No, he did not, but it wasn't all his fault. I mean, those two fumbles early in the game, that can't happen.
What's up, fellas?
Just
You know,
can't happen.
I absolutely agree to the poll. Out-coached and out-schemed on all levels. That's from Greg Malakovic. He's on AM and the PM on Wednesdays at 9 and also on Agree to Disagree every Sunday evening. Yeah, I mean, Doug Peterson got out-coached and out-schemed by Jason Garrett. I mean, this is a guy who pretty consensusly is kind of like Jerry Jones's puppet, not regarded as a good coach. And, you know, he punked out our Super Bowl golden boy, Doug Peterson, who, hate to say it, but looks like a one-hit wonder at this point. Looks like he fell ass backwards into the magical Nick Foles and just a magical group of guys and was able to win a Super Bowl. The Milli Vanilli of NFL coaches, Doug Peterson. And he is on the hot seat, in my opinion. Wentz did not play well, but constantly behind by 10 to 17 points to start the game is killing us. That's from Brian Wilson. Yeah, I mean, the slow starts, it's every week. And to me, that's coaching. That's scheme. You got to find something in the first drive. Or, God forbid, you make a play on defense to start the game. And
the other problem, and I'm reading some of the comments on YouTube, Rob. And everybody's talking about trades. There aren't that many trades that happen in the NFL. The NFL is not a heavy
not during
trade
season either.
league. No, not especially during the season. It's not a heavy trade league. I mean, I get it. You guys want to improve your defense. You want to get another receiver. I get that, but when you start doing this stuff, you're trading draft choices. And the problem right now with the Eagles is the Eagles are one of the oldest teams in the league. You can't just trade your draft picks at this point.
Well, this is why everyone wanted Jalen Ramsey, because he's a position in need and he's 24.
Well, Jalen Ramsey's another story. But, if you're trying to but
You think the Rams gave up too much to get him?
No, because the Rams are in win now mode. They had to do what they had to do. I saw something here about Geno Atkins. Now, I think the Bengals, there are some very talented players on the Cincinnati Bengals who are really over the most underachieving team I've ever seen. There are some players in the Bengals that might be worth exploring. I would think the Bengals would be open for business, and that's a team that it would be worth investigating because there are some very, very good players on that team.
But, seriously, what does Geno Atkins do for this team right now?
Right now, he's useless to them because they're 0-7.
No. Say you trade, a third-round pick for Geno Atkins. Does that make you better than Deli? What does that do? That doesn't.
That improves.
As a fan, I get it. It improves your team because he's at least was a good player. I don't know who he's up to lately. I know he's had some injuries, but is that supposed to
I think he's past his prime, to be honest with you. But I mean,
great, he'll fit right in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Look at the Fly Guys, 5-0, end of 2.
They're looking good tonight.
Glimmer of hope. Sixers Wednesday, 10-9-8, baby. A few more comments here. I don't pay too much chatter from guys like Lane Johnson make your team look like asses. Yeah, Lane Johnson did not do this team any favors with his post-game comments about being late to meetings and no accountability. There's a reason Deuce didn't get an offense coordinator job when they hired Groh, and that's a sad statement to say.
Now here's one thing when it came to the Staley versus Groh for offensive coordinator.
Yes.
A lot of the players really liked Staley to be the OC.
Yeah.
And maybe that's probably part of the issue where maybe they want to see Deuce make the calls and not Groh. I don't know. That's just a theory. I don't know what to make of it, but clearly there's some huge disconnect in the offense.
But Frank, that doesn't excuse the fumbles.
It doesn't excuse
But
it, and I agree
you
with it. It doesn't
I mean,
doesn't excuse it.
You and I could be the offensive coordinator.
You need to
okay?
find guys that
You have to
Right.
You have to not. You can't be fumbling the football twice
Exactly.
in the first quarter.
And especially when you look at the O-line that we have. I mean, you have Andre Diller, who's just learning. So, I mean, I'm going to give Andre a slight pass. I mean, he
did okay
He did
against
okay.
Minnesota. He did
He
okay
did
last night.
Yeah,
I mean,
especially when he's being thrown into the wolves already. Which, I mean, he's going to have the right time to develop, and I think he will be an outstanding left
tackle.
Left tackle. Thank you. Isaac Seumalo, he should not be a starter. I'm sorry, but
What about Big V? Why isn't he in there more?
I don't know. That's a good
I don't
question.
know either. But
Started
apparently
at left tackle in the Super Bowl.
he did.
Yeah, and he was
He
pretty
did a
damn
really
good.
good job.
Yeah,
He had
and
a
he
good game
and he
that game.
too can be a serviceable backup. Same thing with Seumalo. He just does not have the skills to be a starting guard. Seumalo. Then you go over to Jason Kelsey. I mean, he's still a great center. And then over on the right, you have who usually plays right. I'm like forgetting somebody.
Lane Johnson.
Well, I mean, Lane Johnson playing right.
Lane Johnson.
Well, you got
played-
Brooks, you got
Brooks.
Johnson, you have Kelsey. Like
Right.
that's
Yeah.
should be a.
That should be that. Yeah, that you should usually have that as a
And Dillard's a first
serv-
round pick.
Yeah, and Dillard's a first round pick. And then you,
Yeah, how many
you
teams in
take
the
a look at
league have,
one of them.
how many teams in the league have better offense?
Right, we have a very good offensive
good
line, but the
offensive
problem
line.
is the pocket keeps collapsing. I don't know why that happens. I don't know if we're missing our assignments or something. but
Maybe Wentz is holding on to the ball too long.
Wentz does hold the
he
ball
does
too
hold
long.
on the ball. He wants to make the play, and I get it. He wants to make the big play,
But
and
the
you know
problem
you
is,
need
you
that
know
out
what?
of your franchise guy. But
Frank-
you take a look at the personnel around
Frank, you
him.
can't-
They don't. It
You
just
can't hold
can't
on
work.
You can't
Right.
hold on to the ball.
6 seconds
for-
or less, and you'll be
No,
fine.
really. You
Three,
should be,
yeah.
3 seconds. The ideal.
Right.
The ideal is after in 3 seconds you got to get rid of the ball. If
Right.
you still have the ball after 3 seconds, then either you're going to get sacked or you're going to be running for your life. You know, I mean, it's really that simple, and you know that's. And again, it kind of comes back to the fact that right now they don't have a deep threat, and that's got to change.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody has to step up. Zach Ertz has to wake up. He has to start playing.
Has
He has
not
to
had a
start
good
playing.
season thus far. Scotty
No.
Giggs checks in. Cut Nelly immediately. Make a statement about effort and dedication to the squad. I'm all for it. But, I mean, they're not just going to eat 9. Howie,
No,
the
they're not
cap
gonna do
wizard
that.
Roseman, is not just going to eat $9 million. So we're stuck with
Right.
He'll be
You're-
out of
You're
here.
going to be stuck with him. But
He can get benched for a game.
yeah, but is that going to solve any problems though?
John Malmos. How
might.
about Brandon Graham? He's another one. Except for the Jets game, has anyone seen him? I didn't see him do much of anything last night.
Yeah, and that was when the
Josh
Jets,
Sweat
and that's when
got
the
in
Jets
there
had,
for a sack, and Barnett got in there for
That's
a sack.
when the Jets
Other
had
than
that bum as the quarterback.
Yeah, Luke Falk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
who's was cut as soon as Sam Darnold even was able to stand up. He got cut.
Luke.
Michael Kleinkoff from Hockey Happy Hour every Thursday at 10. Niche night here on A2D Live. Disagree. The whole team is to blame. 4 offensive turnovers and defense couldn't stop anybody. Can't blame coaching, in my opinion. Scotty Giggs reintroduced the screen. It used to be a staple of the Andy Reid, Doug
Yeah.
Peterson.
But then look at the early years of the Doug Peterson era where we saw the screens and we always lost a significant yardage and we
Well,
always
you don't-
misplayed those.
You don't really do that anymore.
Right.
No one really runs a
By-
screen. They do
by the
those
way-
bubble screens with
The bubble
receivers.
screens, yeah.
By the way, guys, the first quarter is just wrapping up up at the Meadowlands.
Yeah, what's the score?
The Patriots lead 17-0. So much for the Jets being healthy and being able to cover.
Well, I mean, they're getting 10.
Yeah.
Ralph Cox got paid $100 million with 1 sack this year. Ryan Jansen, our locker room is a mess with who's ripping Wentz. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like these anonymous sources. I don't like Lane Johnson. I don't like Malcolm Jenkins. I don't like any of it.
I mean, somebody's got to be held accountable regardless of
Well, the coach,
this locker room
the
stuff.
coach, and the GM.
It's got to be Doug. Doug's got to grab this locker room by the
Right.
balls and get him ready
Right.
to go
Yeah,
for once.
Cut off on the ice cream and just freaking work them down.
Yeah, I mean,
Craig
he's got-
Joseph.
That's basic. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
He has to go into that locker room and get these
Right.
guys concentrating on football again and stop with the sniping,
Yeah.
because the sniping is not going to help.
Right.
Okay, that just I don't know who the clubhouse lawyers are on this team, but maybe these are guys that need to go at the trade deadline. If you have too many clubhouse lawyers on the team, you got to get rid of some.
Yeah.
Because that's the negativity is not going to help either.
Right. And then Scotty Giggs brings up another good point. They're not, and this is my whole point with why I blame the coaching. Doesn't seem like Doug and Mike Rowe and Deuce Staley and whoever's in that offensive coaching room is calling plays that get the best out of Wentz and this offensive staff.
And as I said for a while now, that Groh is basically holding Wentz back. He's not giving Wentz the full keys to the car. They're giving Wentz the little tiny Yugo instead of the nice little Ferrari, and that's what's happening here. You
just gotta let Wentz go play.
You gotta let Wentz play. You gotta make Wentz.
I want to see some hurry up.
You gotta make him play the hurry up. You gotta make Wentz call the audibles. You gotta make sure he picks out the blitz.
Give Wentz 25 plays. Say here's the 25 plays.
Right.
Go make something happen. Go hurry up. Go up tempo.
Up tempo. No huddle. Something.
And teach Miles Sanders how to hit a hole.
And stop dancing.
Oh, jeez. Howie really skunked us with the Jeffrey restructured contract. He won't be going anywhere until after next year. But that's not
the problem.
That's not bad. Alshon Jeffrey is
That's not the
he
problem.
has a skill set. I know he's not like a burner like he was when he was, younger, but he's a big body, he's a big target, he's great in the red zone. He's great at intermediate routes. He runs over the middle, he can take a hit. I like Alshon Jeffrey. Now, if it's true that he's the anonymous source that's calling out Wentz in the media, I don't like that so much. And I don't know what it would be cap hit-wise to trade him or cut him if that is the case. But, maybe, like you said, with the clubhouse lawyers, maybe Jeffrey's a guy who's got to take a hike. Who runs the ball on 3rd and 4? Well, that play was there, Craig, Joseph.
Jordan Howard can run that. On 3rd
if
and 4.
Miles Sanders would just use his skills and look straight ahead at the big hole right in front of him, you don't really have a problem with that.
Sproles could also be out there on 3rd and 4. He's a dual threat.
Yeah, I really don't know what to make of Miles Sanders because I really want to be a fan of him because he's explosive and he's clearly fast and he clearly has potential, but I don't know if it's because he played limited at Penn State because he was behind Barkley for a whole year, and obviously he's not taking college carries away from Saquon Barkley, but he just doesn't strike me as a polished runner. And, him learning on the job has really cost this offense in some big spots. It really cost them their rhythm at times. So let's just say, because they're down, I believe it was 14-7. When he missed that hole on 3rd and 4. Like, let's say Jordan Howard's in the game, and he gets 6-7 yards with that big hole.
Yeah, but on third down, he really shouldn't be in the game.
Sanders,
yeah.
But he's in the game because he's better at catching than Howard.
See the problem is if Howard's in the game, the other team knows it's going to be a run. If Sanders is
correct,
in the game,
and that was
that's
why
that definitely is an issue.
Well, that's why I think it didn't work out so well for Howard in Chicago because it was the same kind of setup. You had Cohen, who's the Bears version of Miles Sanders.
Is Howard that bad at catching the ball?
I mean, he had 2 receiving touchdowns against the Packers.
I mean, does he have such stone hands that he can't catch the ball? Because I haven't seen
the problem he can catch it. It's fine, but he's not shifty like Sanders,
But what you have to do with him is when you set him up on a pass, you have to have him running downhill, okay? Not running from side to side.
Which
So
I think shouldn't be a problem to scheme.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. And
And I'm sick of seeing. Can we stop with the sweeps and the tosses? You can't run sideline to sideline in the NFL, Doug. You can't.
Not in every play.
Stop with those play calls. Brad, you really can't do it in today's NFL.
Well, unless you're playing against the Giants.
You have
allowed the Cardinals to just jet sweep them right off the field last night.
Jet sweep is different. I'm talking about like a toss or a sweep where Carson Wentz, like if you're Miles Sanders and I'm Carson Wentz, you hike the ball and you just kind of.
Yeah, but a jet sweep, you're going from side to side.
Right, I understand that, but that's not what the Eagles do. It's what the Cardinals did, but it's not what the Eagles did.
Yeah, and a backup running back got 150 yards against the Giants doing that.
Yeah,
so
they-
I mean,
they
you
really
can't
got
go, you can't go from side to side.
They really got gashed. But I'm just saying, you can't run sideline to sideline in the
Rob,
NFL.
when was
for
the
most
last
part.
time? When was the last time you saw an NFL team give up more yardage running than passing? We're not talking about a college team. We're
Yeah, I
talking
don't
about
know.
an
That's a-
NFL team gives up 104 yards passing and 170, 180 running. That's embarrassing.
It's a good trivia question.
Yeah,
I bet you it's probably happened with the Ravens a couple times this year. Whoever's playing the Ravens.
I guess, but I mean,
With those running quarterbacks with Murray and Jackson.
yeah, I suppose, but I mean, but to that extreme?
All right, a few more comments before we wrap up the segment, talk some NBA, talk some World Series, and do our early leans previewing Week 8 of college and pro football. John Malmos, I'm going out on a limb just to say we're going to finish 8-8 or less, and we look really bad. What's out there as far as coaches, especially as far as our quarterbacks, Carson really doesn't seem to have any confidence in Doug and his offensive schemes. See, but I think Doug can be a good head coach. Doug needs a support system. Doug needs a DiFilippo and a Reich and a good defensive coordinator. He needs coaches around him. Like I said last week, this is Hector C.H. Barrios Ortiz. Like I said last week, we are just not a good team. Bad coaching, lack of effort by the players. And on the defensive side, we're really bad. Maybe the worst team after the Dolphins. I mean, that's being hard on them. I'm as mad as the next guy, but
That's a little bit much. You're not as bad as the Dolphins. You're not as bad as the Giants either. I mean, let's be honest, okay? There are teams that are worse.
if Howie makes any trades, please be a seller, not a buyer. I don't know who or what we could say goodbye to. Pile up draft picks. I mean, John, I feel you, but you're 3-4.
Not yet. You don't do that yet.
They're not gonna be sellers. Like, come on. Like, be realistic.
The only way they're going to be sellers
You have Miami.
is
You have
if-
Washington. You have
is
the
if half the
Giants
team-
twice.
if
That's
you're gonna
7 wins right there.
yes.
I think they're gonna beat the Bears because Trubisky is just awful. That's 8 wins.
That may be all they get though.
And Dallas.
It may not be Dallas. I'm not
Yeah,
ready.
but Dallas might.
I'm not ready to say.
Look,
I'm not ready to
despite
give you that.
Dallas winning last night, I don't think Dallas is that some invincible team all of a
No,
sudden.
they're not. But the problem is, right now the Eagles are going to have to really step it up to show me something because right now, the Eagles look like they're on the same level as the Giants. The way they gotten beat down the last 2 weeks.
Dion Brown checks in. What's up, Dion? The blame is to be put on everyone. It starts at the top with Doug Peterson.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Frank, let's take our break. Sports Hounds will be back right after this. A little NBA, a little World Series, and we'll preview next weekend's college and pro football games. A2D Radio Sports Hounds will be back right after this. Welcome back. Real Talk Studios, A2D Radio, Sports Hounds with you till 10 o'clock. Rob Brinkman, Brad Ryer, Frank Vesby, wallowing in the misery that is the Philadelphia Eagles. A embarrassing, what was it, 37-10?
37-10.
37-10. I turned it off. Wentz threw that pick in the fourth, and I can't do it.
Well, after you would have
Can't
after
do it.
Mills got the interception that maybe they would
No, because
start
when
a
they
comeback,
were
but
when it was 27-7 and they were driving in early in the third, and then Wentz missed Jeffrey by a mile on that post, and they had to kick a field goal.
that was kind of the beginning of the end.
Yeah, that was it. But we're gonna decide a championship soon in Major League Baseball, Brad.
Yes,
The
we are.
Nationals, the Astros, and the Nationals. I mean, the Yankees. I know I don't want to rub salt in the wounds, but the Yankees they
They didn't hit.
and they rely on their bullpen for too many innings.
I agree with you 100% in both assessments, but I think the major problem with the Yankees was that they didn't hit. And, you could excuse it when they are facing Greinke and Verlander and Cole, but come on, when you had the Astros pitching their bullpen against you,
Yeah, they should have.
and you only score 4 runs, I mean, are you kidding me?
I thought that set up
The Yankees should've-
really well for there
Yankees
to be a
should've-
Game 7.
Yeah, I thought the Yankees should have been able to score 10 runs that game. And the fact that it took a miracle 2-run home run in the 9th inning for the Yankees to tie the game and make it 4-4 was a bad sign. And Chapman, I mean, he hits the first 2 outs and then he starts pitching scared. I mean, I don't get it. You know what? You're blasting that fastball and you're looking great on the fastball, and then on the first 2 batters, and then Springer and Altuve come up, and then you won't throw your fastball. And, when you keep doing that, it's only a matter of time before you hang a curveball. And he hung that slider to Altuve, and Altuve nailed it. And, and there goes the season.
An iconic ALCS moment. I know you didn't come out, but
It wasn't
pretty-
iconic to me because I can't stand Altuve. But
Why can't you stand Altuve?
Because he's a little turd. That's why.
Why?
Because he's
he's
always running
5'6".
around with his. He's a little turd that runs around with his fist pump in the air all the time. He's a little douchebag, just like what's his name on the Warriors, the mouthpiece.
Oh, Steph.
Mm-hmm. He's an annoying little turd, just like him.
We're gonna see what Steph has this year. So he's got to carry the wagon.
Yeah, well.
He's got no Durant. He's got no Clay. He's got
Oh, that's right. Clay is hurt too.
yeah, he's hurt. January, Christmas.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. He's
Talking
hurt.
about the NBA a little bit, but
Yeah, I forgot about that.
I think that the Astros are gonna win the World Series.
Yeah, I think they're going to win in 5. I mean, the problem
But,
is for the.
I mean, look
for
at
the
these
Nationals-
matchups though for the first 3 games. You got Garrett Cole and Scherzer tomorrow.
Classic confrontation.
Then you have Verlander and Strasburg in Game 2,
That is a terrific matchup.
and then you have Corbin and Greinke in Game 3. Presumably, the Nationals haven't officially announced Corbin for Game 3.
The battle of the Diamondbacks.
Battle of the former Diamondbacks. Yes.
That'll be interesting. I think as far as this series goes, I think the problem is going to be the Nationals bullpen. And I think the Astros are going to every time they get into that bullpen, they're going to be jumping all over that team, and especially on the National League field. If the Astros get the lead and they have to pinch hit for their and the Nationals have to pinch hit.
Well,
for their
who's the
pitcher
Astros DH? Let me think.
You could probably put Kendrick as the DH and let Dozier play, right?
Well, yeah, it's easy if you're the National League. Going to the American League.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm talking about when the Astros have to go to Washington.
Oh, who's not
going to play?
Oh, you were on Alvarez.
He wasn't really that good against the Yankees.
Yeah, the Yankees figured him out.
No, he's a
Yankees
young
figured him
player,
out. Yeah.
promising player, but I mean,
Oh,
looked
and
like the
he's got-
postseason
and he's
got the
on-
best of him.
He's got unreal power.
But I like the Astros. But boy, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how the layoff, because the Nationals, they took care of the Cardinals in 4.
Right.
It'd be interesting to see how that layoff, if it killed their momentum or they're going to be well rested.
Nah, I don't think so. I think they'll be well rested. I don't think that it's going to kill the momentum.
But-
what I think is, I think the problem is going to be that the Nationals bullpen just isn't very good, and because it's not very good, the Astros are going to pound on that bullpen. And unless you can get to the eighth inning with Doolittle and Hudson, anything and the ninth inning with Hudson, if the Astros get into their bullpen earlier than the eighth inning, it's going to be trouble for Washington. Those pitchers, I know they're really good, but number one.
Well, Houston's lineup is relentless.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
It's nothing like the Cardinals or the Braves line, or the
no.
Cardinals.
No,
Dodgers lineup's pretty good.
Another thing that I got, another criticism I have of Boone in that last at bat with Altuve, when the account got to be 3-1, why weren't we walking Altuve and just pitching to Marisnik? Brantley was already out of the game. I mean, are you really? How do you let Jose Altuve beat us? How do you do that, Boone? I mean, this is the Macaboon that I've been talking about. You know, the one that has his brains up his ass, and the only reason he wins is because he's got great players. That's the Macaboon that I can't stand, and the manager that I think is horrible. Anybody who had half a brain would have said, you know what, I am not going to let Jose Altuve beat me and have my season ended by him. Let Jake Marisnik try to do it. Jake Marisnik doesn't scare me at all. So I'm a little annoyed about that still.
But I think
that's bugging me.
Yeah, I get you. I mean,
why on earth would you let that guy beat you? I mean,
look, the Yankees were a starting pitcher short.
Oh, I agree with you, but that doesn't. But
they just weren't as good as the.
But it was 3-2, and you're tied in the bottom of the ninth inning with 2 outs. If the game goes in extra innings, you could put Severino in there and let him pitch the extra innings. You have the ability to take a really good pitcher and go throw him out there, and then Tanaka can come back the next game on 3 days rest. Why in the world would you let Jose Altuve beat you? I mean, that is the dumbest managerial move. I'm sorry.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
you didn't watch the Phillies this year.
Well, you know what? Gabe couldn't have been any worse than that.
He would have been.
That was as dumb. Sorry.
Well, Gabe would have cost you 15 games in the regular season where you wouldn't even made the playoffs.
Okay.
Or would have been in the wild card game.
Okay, but you have to agree that allowing Jose Altuve to beat you when he has a 3-1 pitch, who cares if the runner goes to second base? Who the heck cares? Would you rather have Altuve up with the game on the line, or Jake Marisnik, who stinks, who can't hit the broadside of a barn up there? Okay, he came in for defensive reasons for Brantley. You hear what I'm saying? Defensive reasons. Brantley wasn't up, so why would you do that? How do you let Jose Altuve beat you? And I'm just going to end it there because again, it's really sticking in my craw.
But getting back to the World Series, I think the Astros are at a supreme advantage because they were able to win Game 6, and Garrett Cole can pitch.
Oh, absolutely.
Game 1.
Garrett Cole pitches Game 1. Yeah.
I think that really tips the
it
scales to
does.
the Astros' favor. I think the Astros are going to win.
Yeah, their lineup is better. Their bullpen is better. The starting pitching is pretty even, which is hard to believe that any starting pitching could be even with the Astros. But
and even Anibal Sanchez, if they had to pitch him in a game,
well, Anibal Sanchez,
he's been pretty good.
Yeah, he's not bad. He's not bad. He's certainly better than Penny or who's some of those other guys. No, Hitchcock. What was the guy's name?
Peacock.
Peacock, yeah, Peacock or
Josh James.
James, those clowns, which the Yankees didn't do enough hitting against. That blew my mind. I'm wondering if Encarnacion, if we're going to hear that Encarnacion was playing hurt and Sanchez was playing hurt. But, I mean, you know what? Those guys did nothing. Absolutely nothing. They were horrible. Brett Gardner was horrible. The only 2 guys on the Yankees who hit at all were DJ LeMahieu and Gleyber Torres. And I'll tell you what, Giancarlo Stanton next season, had better come out and play well because he's going to be public enemy number 1 and the poster boy for hate in the Bronx if he doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't give you much at all this year.
$30 million for that? To be a useless piece of shit? I mean, come on. I mean, he's not just a useless piece of shit. He's a useless sack of shit. and that's awful. And you know what? He's gonna be such an albatross over these 8 years if he doesn't get himself in shape and on the field, because that cannot happen again.
So you got what? Astros in 5?
Astros in 5.
I'll go 6.
Yeah. Now listen, I'm not saying that the Astros aren't good. I just think that the Yankees had a chance and their manager blew it in that last game. He blew it. But in any event, the Astros are a great team. They are a little better than the Yankees. They have deeper starting pitching, and it came back to roost against the Yankees. The Yankees didn't hit in the clutch either. The Nationals are going to have to be very opportunistic. They're going to have to, when they got opportunities to score, they're going to have to score.
See that throw?
Yeah, it was a terrible throw.
Where's the receiver?
I don't know. That's the second pass Darnold has made today, where that was picked off. That we remain clueless on how.
He's not that good. Sam Darnold not that good.
I think Jones is better than him.
I agree with you. What's up, Tommy? But getting back, and then one thing that's really been sticking in my craw for about a week now, and I've been trying to make a video about it, but I've been sick and it just hasn't worked out, is these people that think the Nationals are in the World Series because Bryce Harper's in Philadelphia. That he was some type of mush for the Washington Nationals and just couldn't get it done at all down there. Look, the Nationals didn't have to offer Bryce Harper $330 million because they have a farm system. They have Robles coming up. They have Soto coming up. And they were able to use the money to solidify their starting rotation.
They already had Rendon, Trey Turner, Taylor. I mean, they have a very good team.
So it's just a shallow, lazy take that the Nationals are in the World Series because they let Bryce Harper walk.
No. Listen. I'll tell you what. If Bryce Harper,
you got Corbin, and you signed 6 or 7 solid veterans with the Bryce Harper money because you have a player who's at 20 years old already better than Bryce Harper and Juan Soto. I mean, Juan Soto is better than a lot of guys.
Yeah, as you said, here's the thing: they were able to go out and pay for Corbin. Okay, they're able to help to pick up some good depth players like Howie Kendrick, Hudson. They were able to pick up. Who did they get Hudson from? I can't remember now, but they picked him up
Daniel Hudson, Toronto maybe.
Yeah, I think it was Toronto. But I mean, they were able to spend some money at the trade deadline and improve their team, which by the way Brian Cashman did not do.
Yankees were surprisingly quiet at the deadline.
Yeah, they did nothing, but it's too late to argue that now. But again, the Astros right now, they're the most athletic team in baseball. They really are. I mean, they can do it all. I mean, they're a great team.
Well, I mean, you watch their lineup. You get a guy like number 1 overall pick, someone who's as talented as Carlos Correa.
And he bats
7th. He hits 7th or 8th.
Yeah, he bats 7th. What's his name? Reddick, who's a pretty good hitter
good player.
He bats 9th.
Good right fielder.
Bats 9th.
Good stick. He hits 9th.
Yeah, I mean,
it's crazy.
I mean, in a lot of teams he's batting 2nd or 3rd. On the Astros, he bats 9th.
I wonder what the odds are. What are the odds in the World Series?
I would think that the
Astros got to be
Astros
favored.
have to be probably at least 3 to 1. I would think at least 3 to 1.
3 to 1. That's pretty steep.
Well, all right, maybe 2.5.
Here it is, right here. Maybe it's not. Houston's the biggest World Series favorite since 2007.
So what are they? I said 3 to 1. So.
DraftKings put their odds as sweeping. It's a sweep. I hate, why can't they just give me a chart? Minus 235.
Close.
Nationals are a plus 195 dog. They're the biggest favorite since the Red Sox were favored. They were minus 240 against the Rockies in 2007.
So they're
12 years ago.
So they're 230.
235.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't think
That's pretty steep. I mean, I would probably.
I wouldn't bet the Nationals. I'd still bet the Astros.
Yeah.
The Astros are just.
I hate doing that though.
I know, but you take the free money.
I don't think it's free. You think it's that?
Yeah, I think it's like when you.
You
go
think
to,
it's that lopsided
it's
where
like
it's
when you-
free money?
Rob, it's like when you go to the track and you see the horse race track
Yeah.
and you see a 1-to-5 shot. Well, that might be a little too low, but when you see like a 1-to-2 shot, if the track has a horse that's 1-to-2, okay, just take the free money. Obviously, the horse is going to go right around. They don't get that low odds for nothing. Because they're much the best. Houston's much the best. Take the free money, folks. That's all I could say. You know what? If you have to bet $230 to win $100, you know what? You're going to win the $100. There's no way the Nationals are winning the World Series. Now, will they give them a battle? Yeah, it could be 6, maybe 7, but I think it's 5. I think they get one. I think the Nationals do win a game. I think they'll find a way to win Game 3. All hands on deck.
Game 3, that should be Corbin versus Greinke.
Yep, I like
in
that.
Washington.
Yeah, I like that. I like that matchup. That's the one matchup I like. But Verlander and Cole in that building are really tough to beat.
Yeah.
I mean.
Now you're a Yankee. Look at that. 2 of 6, 6 yards, 2 interceptions for Mr. Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, Jones wasn't that bad against the Patriots. Hey, he completed a pass.
Wow, a nice little 6-yard game.
Yep.
All right, Brad. So you put up with Joe Girardi. You won you guys a World Series. It seems like the Philadelphia Phillies have really zeroed in on Joe Girardi. It looks like he might be the manager. You got a second interview. I know the Mets want him too, but let's just say for the sake of argument that the Phillies do get Joe Girardi as a manager. What can the fans expect?
He's very good at managing the bullpen.
Well, that's fantastic because Gabe Kapler, that was his main weakness.
The one thing
of all
about
the
him,
weaknesses he had, that was probably his biggest one.
No, he's really good at handling a bullpen.
Give us an example of that.
Well, he really pays attention to stats and the analytics as far as the bullpen matchups go. He's not going to let your relief pitchers pitch 3 days in a row. He's not going to overwork anybody. He's going to make sure that the right guy is in there to face the right pitcher is going to be in there to face the right hitter. That was, in my opinion, that was one of his big strengths as a manager with the Yankees. Did I like some of the moves he made all the time? No, but then again, it's
162 games. They make a lot of moves. You can't.
Yeah, you can't expect perfection. But I'll tell you what, I think Girardi's a better manager than Aaron Boone. I think the reason that Girardi is
so why isn't he he had a lot of success for the Yankees
because
kind of got canned after
because Cashman wanted a puppet.
What was that after the ALCS loss to the Red Sox?
No, the ALCS lost to the Astros. They lost in 7. Okay. Cashman wants a puppet. Girardi is not anybody's puppet. Girardi also the one thing Girardi does do is he will stick his foot up your ass so hard that you will be spitting shoelaces if you're
That's what we want. That's what we like. Accountability.
He will take your ass right out of the game if you're not hustling. So I mean that's something he will do. That was one of the main reasons why Robinson Cano, the Yankees let him walk. I mean, that.
Yeah, but Robinson Cano got way too much money.
I know that,
and way too many years.
But they could have signed him before he got to free agency.
True.
They never even bothered to make him an offer. And then when he became a free agent, they offered him 7 years and $175 million. And then Seattle went 10, 240. So you can't blame Cano for taking the
Yeah,
deal,
but wasn't he like
that was
32 when he?
31, I think. It was a dumb. Listen.
Now he's stuck with the Mets.
Yeah, anybody who would offer him that kind of money for that length of time,
You can't get.
the Yankees. Listen, he was a great player with the Yankees. He really was.
But like that, he was
But
tremendous offensive second baseman.
For a second baseman to put up the kind of offensive numbers he put up, he if he didn't get nailed for the steroids,
Yeah.
I would think that he would be almost a surefire Hall of Famer with those numbers. But he got caught with the roids, so that's not going to happen. But I mean, he is that kind of level. He was that level of a player. But getting back to Joe Girardi managing, he's managed superstars before, so managing Bryce Harper will not be a problem. Because I mean, the Yankees have plenty of superstars on their team. He had plenty of Derek Jeter. He had to manage Derek Jeter.
But Bryce doesn't strike me as a hard guy to manage.
No, I'm just putting it out there. That
like Machado seems like a hard guy to manage.
Machado's an ass, but I mean, like he'll be able to manage a guy like Aaron Nola. The stars on the team. He'll be able to manage him. He'll also make sure that he lets him pitch until he's not effective anymore. He's not gonna take a pitcher out after throwing 60 pitches. That I can tell you, unless the general manager insists on that happening. And I think that was part of the problem with Cashman, is that they're taking guys out way too early. And
well, Matt Klentak is lucky he still has a job, so I wouldn't.
Matt Klentak should not have a job because that team talent-wise. There's no way that team should have been.
Well, that's why he has the job, because they are a talented team. But the manager, like Doug, my opinion, with Doug and the coaching staff of the Eagles, aren't getting the most out of their talent.
Who picked the manager?
Oh, Clinton. Yeah, he picked a bad manager.
Well, that counts. Sorry.
Okay,
that
I get you. And Rick Kranitz, he fired Rick Kranitz as the pitching coach. He went to Atlanta, and he's doing great with their young pitchers. I get it.
Yeah. I mean
I get it.
That's a big part of it. Now,
but I think of the three idiots of McPhail, Klentak, and Kapler, I think the Phillies did the right thing and got rid of the biggest idiot.
Yeah,
which was
he's a clown.
Gabe Kapler.
He's a clown.
You believe he's getting mad? He's getting looks. Cubs interviewed him.
I can't believe anybody would. Yeah, but just because they interviewed it doesn't mean they're going to hire him.
The Giants are looking at him.
Yeah, he is a California guy, so I mean, I'd be shocked because he's not good, and nobody respects him.
And like, to your Klentak point, like, I don't buy the fact that this team is that far away. Like, there's talent here.
Oh, I agree with you. No, they have. Listen,
but you have Nolan. You have an ace.
You have a legitimate ace, but
you have Bryce.
You've got to get a couple of decent and really.
You need two starters and a bullpen guy.
He needed what Klentak needed to do last year, and listen, Cashman is just as guilty. Okay, you had a guy by the name of Charlie Morton who was a free agent.
Yeah.
And nobody went and signed it. Tampa Bay went and signed the guy 2 years, $30 million. Why are you telling me that you couldn't have gotten paid $30 million
what did he get?
for 2 years? He got 2 years and $30 million from Tampa Bay. He basically led Tampa Bay into the playoffs. And you know what? When he pitched that playoff game against the Astros, he shut their asses down. He pitched 5 scoreless innings, and Tampa Bay had a tremendous bullpen.
Caller has a point.
And they won the game. I mean, these are some of the stupid things that the Phillies go, and they're spending their money on a guy like David Robertson, who's an old man, and it was bound to happen. He was effective in the first half of the season for the Yankees, and then had a bad second half, and the Phillies went and signed him anyway. They signed a 32, 33-year-old guy in McCutchen. I mean, here's a guy. Now, I know Morton is not young, but here is a legitimate starting pitcher, okay? A guy you could have used as your second pitcher. Arrieta could be your number 3. That would have been a really nice 1-2-3 punch.
Yeah.
And Klentak is worried about bringing in stars instead of bringing in the guys that needed to be brought in.
Well, they needed Bryce because he needed a left-handed power batter.
I'm not talking about Harper.
Yeah.
Harper's a no-brainer. But I'm talking about bringing in guys like Robertson.
Yeah, the supporting cast that they tried to peddle off.
Yeah, which they did, and the
Pavettas of the world that they tried to tell us that were good.
And they overpaid like crazy for these guys, like crazy. I mean, of course McCutcheon's going to sign with Philly when they're offering 3 years, $50 million. I mean, he really wasn't very good with the Yankees. He was okay.
He was killing it with the Phillies.
Yeah, but
he was killing it.
I understand that, but he ran out of steam with the Yankees. I mean, when the Yankees got him, he was getting a lot of walks, but he really wasn't hitting the ball. He hit a couple of home runs, but he really wasn't getting a lot of hits. I think he barely hit over 200 with the Yankees. You know, and that's kind of what he does now because he's old already. But that they should have been concentrating more on pitching. Now this year, you've got a lot of real good pitchers out there that can be signed.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean Garrett Cole's at the top of that list.
Right, but there's the possibility
he's going to be a Yankee though.
Strasburg could opt out. Okay.
I mean, he's gonna opt out.
He's gonna opt out. It's
whether
not,
he resigns back with Washington or not. I guess we'll see.
That's not a lock. Okay.
No.
I would think that
they might lose Rendon and Strasburg.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly,
I would think that Strasburg, after Rizzo tried to help him with his career early in his career by not making him pitch in the playoffs because they were trying to save his arm and everything, I would think that should be some brownie points for Strasburg to stay in Washington. But you know, it always comes down to the almighty buck. I have a feeling he's going to opt out and be a free agent. You got Madison Bumgarner, who's going to be a free agent. You got Jake Odorizzi, who is really, really good with
15
Minnesota.
wins.
Yeah, really good with Minnesota. He's going to be a free agent. There are several.
He's probably going to get priced out of there, too.
Yeah, he probably will. There are several.
Keuchel pitched really good for the Braves.
Yep, he's another one. I mean,
Cole Hamels going to be. I mean, he's okay. He's old, but
Zach Wheeler, who has a
Zach Wheeler is a pitcher I love.
He has a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
I would love the Phillies to sign him.
He is a terrific, raw, talented player. There's a lot of really good pitchers this year on the market,
and you have the bullpen guys. You got a couple. You got Will Harris.
He's really good.
Of the Astros, pitching in the World Series. Will Smith. Mm-hmm. That's who I would. That would be my number one target if I were the Phillies.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Chapman might opt out too.
Those flamethrowers make me nervous, though.
Listen, I hear you. I'm just telling you he could opt out. Because next year he's only.
What's his contract?
He's got 2 more years. He's got 2 more years at $30 million. He had signed a 5-year, $80 million
I don't know.
contract.
If I'm him, I'm staying put.
The Yankees paid most of the money up front, so the last 2 years aren't as. There's not as much money in the last 2 years as there was the first.
So
3.
he's gonna opt out and get a raise.
He could opt out.
So he's gonna opt out.
I think he's gonna opt out because I think he figures he can get about 17, 18 million a year instead of 15.
How old is he?
Chapman. How old is he now? 32, 33?
Will Smith's only 30, and he'd be significantly less.
And he cost a lot less.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, he'd be cheaper because Chapman's like the big name.
He's the big
the
name,
high
but you know what?
pedigree guy.
He wasn't. Yeah, but he wasn't all that. He wasn't all that great this year either. I mean, he never had a clean.
No,
inning.
I mean these closers, they're a fickle bunch. They're like kickers in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, you know what though? I guess being used to Mariano, it kind of spoils you a little bit. Boy, Sam Darnold tonight looks terrible, by the way. Missing open receivers all over the place.
He had that guy.
Yes, he did. But these are some of the pitchers that are available in the offseason.
Well, I think the Phillies are going to sign Cole Hamels. I think that's going to be a good PR move. He's going to finish his career with the Phillies. He's the lefty they haven't had since they traded Cole Hamels to the Rangers.
He's also a leader of the clubhouse, and he can be a leader of that staff too.
Right.
He may not be the best pitcher on the staff, but he could. I could see him having the CC
because
the way that
you have Noah, opening day ace, then you have Eflin 4-starter.
He's not bad.
And Arrieta is not gonna. He's gonna opt into his contract.
Oh yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. You're stuck with him. So if you can get a guy,
but if you know what, if he's healthy, you don't even mind because he
can give you some innings.
Yeah, no,
he can't be 2.
Huh?
He can be 4 or 5.
He could be 3-2. I think you could get away with him as a number 3. You'd prefer him to be number 4.
You need a guy like Wheeler. I don't even think signing Garrett Cole is smart.
Listen, no. If you could sign Garrett Cole, anybody who could sign Garrett Cole, whatever it costs, you bring that guy in.
I guess you're right.
You're talking about the best pitcher in baseball. Why wouldn't anybody not want him? He's great. I mean, he's great. He's going to win the Cy Young this year. I mean, the Yankees couldn't hit him with the Yankees couldn't have hit him with a paddle the other day.
Yeah, you think he gets it over Verlander?
Yes. Yes, because I just think he was a better pitcher than Verlander this year. Not to say that Verlander wasn't great. Verlander was outstanding, but that's just my opinion. Again, but I think Verlander was the best pitcher in the league, in the American League this year. Anybody that signs him is gonna be that. And another team, don't throw out the Chicago White Sox, because you know what, they want to spend some money.
Yeah,
too.
the Angels are going to spend money too.
You sure? Are they in a position where they can do that? I mean, they're still paying Pujols, and they're paying all that money to Trout.
Well, they got to figure out something because they signed Madden.
I know, but
I agree with you on the White Sox. The White Sox are good. A lot of good young players.
Yeah, I mean the White Sox might be the team that sneaks in to get Cole, and don't count out the Cubs either. Both the Chicago teams I could see.
I don't think they have money though.
Oh, the Cubs? Listen, if the Cubs traded, say, Chris Bryant, okay, they'd be saving themselves a lot of money. They could conceivably do something. They could conceivably do something. Now, listen, the Brewers know, the Minnesota Twins know. I mean, the Texas Rangers are a team that I could see Cole going to Texas too.
The Rangers are going to be open for business
the Rangers,
this winter.
The Rangers have always
they got the new ballpark coming.
Yeah, they've always had a high payroll, and right now their payroll is really low, so they can definitely get in there,
and a lot of these farm guys that they were counting on. I mean, some of them are okay, but none of them are really.
Well, they were doing pretty well this year until Gallo got hurt. Once Gallo got hurt, it's because Gallo was having a tremendous season, but once he got hurt, it seemed like
he wasn't striking out as much.
No, I had him on my fantasy team this year, and he
good pick.
Yeah, he was really good this year. I mean, at the time he got hurt, he was leading the league in home runs and RBIs, and he was hitting like 270, and for him, 270 is pretty damn good.
Yeah. With all that power?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. 270.
He just can't hit 202. It kills you.
Exactly. That's too low an average. You can't hit that low.
All right, Brad, 20 minutes left. I think we're both consensus on the Astros winning the World Series.
Yeah, now if you want to get into a little NBA.
NBA, Sixers Wednesday.
Who are they opening up with?
Good question.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to know.
Good question.
The inquiring mind would like to know.
I had one of my fantasy basketball drafts just now.
It's against Boston.
Oh, we play the Celts.
We open against the C's.
Where is that?
In Philly.
Yeah, that's a W.
Yep.
That'll be.
I hope so. But the Celtics, they beat the pants off us every time we play them. It's frustrating.
You. The last time you played them last season, you beat them up pretty good.
Look, if the Sixers don't go to the NBA Finals this year, it's a season complete failure.
Yeah, I would agree.
Finals or bust.
What I would say about the Sixers is this, okay? I do not think in any way, shape, or form they are as good this year as they were last year. But they are in a significantly weaker conference this year than they were last year.
Oh yeah, Kawhi left. Why don't you think? Why do you think they're not as good?
Because I really like I really like Jimmy, and I think that they're gonna miss him. He gave him that dynamic, that offensive dynamic that
I don't disagree.
That just made them almost impossible to guard. I think that offensively they're going to take a pretty big hit. Now, yes, they're going to play better defensively, and defense does still win championships in the NBA, even though the scoring is up, and scoring is up because of the 3-point shot. But when push comes to shove, good defensive teams usually.
That's going to be their Achilles
win.
heel, though. They can't
But-
shoot.
Yeah, that would be the one thing that I'd be very concerned about with Philly. But I think they should be able to win this conference. I think they're the best team in the conference right now. I think when you play them, when you play them, you're going to be black and blue when you're finished playing them because they are a rough and tough team now.
Yeah, Richardson, good defender.
Yeah, they're tough.
Horford and Embiid down low should be good, and
They're
Ben
tough.
is no slouch on the perimeter.
No, they're tough, and they're
Either.
tough, and they can be physical, and it's no fun to play against a team like that. As I said, the only thing I'm worried about is they're not going to score as much, and that Jimmy, as I said, Jimmy was a high impact, high energy, really good.
Well, he's that
offensive
dog.
player.
He's that go-to guy on the
no,
wing.
He is, and you know what? He hits.
We
a lot
need
of big
Ben to be
shots.
that, though.
Well, we'll see. You know what? If he can step up, if he steps up, then you won't miss him. But I don't think that he is ever going to be a great shooter. I think he could be a serviceable shooter. It's just like
I'm really looking for him to take the next step and be a top 10
Rob, it's
player
kind of like
in the league.
I look at him the same
this
way
year.
I look at Gary Sanchez. Okay, Gary Sanchez is never going to be a Gold Glove catcher.
Right.
Okay, he can be an acceptable catcher.
Yeah, it's like Howard was with Ryan Howard with the Phillies.
Right. He was never a Gold Glove first baseman, but
But he
was
worked himself into being
acceptable,
decent.
He wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't a liability. This is what Simmons needs. Simmons is not ever going to be Larry Bird as far as shooting. Okay.
No.
But he can be like Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
Maybe not be the greatest shooter in the world, but in a big spot, make a big shot, which is what Jason Kidd did. And his game kind of reminds me a lot of Jason Kidd. So be Jason Kidd. Make a few. Listen, we know you're not a great shooter, but, make your share. Make enough, shoot enough to score enough so that at least they have to come out and guard you and not sit back and wait for you to go to the basket and foul you and put you at the foul line. Make them respect your jump shot. If you can do that, then you won't miss Jimmy. But that's got to happen. And my other question to you about the Sixers is, who is going to take the big shot at the end of the game?
Good question.
Because they're going to double and triple team Embiid. They're not going to let Embiid.
Tobias is paid to be an all-star.
Okay, well then
So
he's the guy. He's the guy that's going to have, because you're going to have.
he's the guy who really needs to step up in Jimmy's absence.
If he does that, then you'll be fine. But that's going to be needed. I think that Tobias can do it. I think that part of the problem with Tobias last year was that there wasn't enough basketballs for him, and he didn't get the ball enough. Now maybe he didn't command the ball enough, but again, when you got guys like Jimmy Butler on the team and Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, he's the fourth option, so he's not going to get the ball as much.
Yeah, it was tough for Tobias last year
Yeah.
because Jimmy and Joe are alpha males.
Yeah, and they're also great offensive players. So now, if he gets the ball, and he gets enough shots, he'll get his shot going. He'll be in a rhythm, and he'll have a good season, and he can be a major factor for you. But last year, I think part of the problem was he just didn't get the ball enough.
I don't disagree.
He wasn't. Listen. I mean, bottom line was, he wasn't good enough to get the ball all the time like those guys. He's not as good as them, but he doesn't have to be as good as them. He just has to be himself. And at the defensive end, you're going to have a lot of stoppers out there, and the other teams are going to have a lot of trouble scoring points. And if they can be reasonably efficient at scoring, okay. How many teams are in the NBA?
What's that?
How many teams are in the NBA?
30?
If they can be like 10th in the league in scoring, and number 1 in defense, that's
a recipe for success.
Yeah, you're going to get to the finals. You just can't have it where you're.
They have to get to the finals.
Yeah, you can't be number 1 in defense and then number 24 in offense. That's not going to work. So that's the key. Is if they can put up enough points, they'll be fine.
And is Matisse Thybulle, the rookie, is he going to be able to be that sixth man off the bench and make shots?
Well, by the end of the season.
And same with Josh Richardson. Josh Richardson's going to start. He's not going to be coming off the bench, but he's got to make some shots too.
Well, listen. By the
Somebody's
got
to make shots because they were worse in the preseason in 3-point shot. I know it's only preseason, but they were worse in the NBA and 3-point percentage in preseason.
I wouldn't get myself too wrapped up in that yet. not preseason.
I'm not wrapped up in it, but if you look at
preseason-
the skill set of the guys that they have on this team, you know,
Well, again, that's why I'm concerned about. That's what I'm concerned about with them.
you need a shooter. Now maybe you can add at the deadline somewhere along the way and get a shooter.
Or maybe, before the season starts, somebody cuts somebody that's a shooter, and they can pick somebody up. You never know. You never know.
That stuff happens all the time
Yeah,
in the NBA.
It does. It's not. That's not an uncommon theme.
Team I would really watch for in the East that no one's really talked about is the Pacers.
Yeah. Well, we talked. You and I talked
Yeah.
about them before the show. That's a team.
Once they get Victor Oladipo back, they're going to be just as good as the Sixers defensively. They have Sabonis and Miles Turner, and they signed Jeremy Lamb from the Hornets.
Yeah, they're an
They
extremely.
signed Brogdon from the
they're
Milwaukee
an
Bucks.
extremely talented team.
I think the Bucks are really they're gonna rue the day they let Brogdon go and gave Brook Lopez all that money. I thought that was a mistake.
Well, Brook Lopez is a good player. I mean,
He is, but
he-
Brogdon is so good defensively.
Well, that's the one thing.
Terrific.
That's the one thing Brook
No,
was never. Brook is a good
but
offensive
Milwaukee
player
is
and
still good. They still
yeah.
have Giannis, who
is great.
probably the MVP of the league again.
Now in the West, going to be interesting because we
See,
both,
now the West is just a battle of LA.
yeah,
when
the
push comes to
Clippers,
shove.
It's going to the Clippers and the Lakers right now.
I give the slight edge to the Lakers.
Yeah, I think the Clippers are. I mean, Kawhi winning it literally by himself last year to me put him in a very special.
Yeah,
place.
I got you. I think
So-
LeBron and Anthony Davis is really going to work.
Where did the guy from the Hornets go?
Kemba Walker, he's on
Yeah.
the Celtics.
He's on. Oh, Jesus Christ!
And then you have Kyrie on the Nets. The Nets are
Well,
going to be
the
good,
Nets
too.
The Nets are going.
I know they don't have Durant this year, but once they get Durant in the fall, that's when they can really
We'll probably have Durant.
contend.
They'll probably get Durant back in like March.
No, they kind of said that they're not.
No, not at all.
Not kind of doing that.
Okay, so then they'll get. him
Maybe it'll
next year.
change if they're going to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year without
Right.
Kyrie and Durant. I mean, all due respect to D'Angelo Russell, he had a great season last year, but Kyrie Irving is a better player than D'Angelo Russell. It's an upgrade.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, listen, credit to the Nets for getting D'Angelo Russell on the team, though.
Yeah, and
I
then
mean,
they have
stole. I mean, they stole him.
They
Where
have-
did they get
yeah.
Timothy. What's his name?
yeah,
The guy
they
that's
traded
making
with
a
the
ton of-
Lakers.
Yeah, Timothy, whatever the hell
I
his
forget
name
what the
is.
trade was, but yeah, they did. They were.
They stole
They
him.
did really well.
They stole him.
And then in the West, it'd be interesting to see what the Warriors are going to be too.
That's gonna be that's.
They'll
gonna
be a playoff
interesting.
team, but I mean, Steph, D'Angelo Russell. That's where D'Angelo Russell ended up.
Oh well, I mean, D'Angelo Russell with Steph will probably make him a better player. They still have
And they have Draymond.
Draymond, right? So I mean, they'll listen. They're still going to be good, but I
And then
can't-
I think Harden and Westbrook is really going to work in terms of regular season basketball. They're going to win a lot of games, but I'm not sure if that's going to translate to playoff success.
they're two ball hogs, though. Jeez.
Two ball dominant players.
Yeah,
You're right.
they're both hot. Although I do think when push comes to shove, I think Westbrook will give the ball.
Look,
the ball to
Harden's a
Harden.
better player,
Yeah, well, Harden's a better shooter.
in my opinion.
He's a better shooter.
I
for
think
sure.
Harden's a better player because he's a better shooter.
Yeah, I mean, they both are dynamic players. I mean, listen, they probably will choke again in the playoffs because it's the DNA of the Houston of that team now. But that's a good team. I'll tell you what, the West is loaded, and don't count out Portland either.
Portland's good. Denver's good. The West is still the superior conference. Then you have up-and-coming teams like the Kings. I think the Kings are
And Utah.
building the right way. Utah has Conley now.
Yep, Utah is good. I mean,
Mike
how close are the Atlanta Hawks to being good?
They'll probably make the I think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, because they've stepped it up the last couple of years. Oh, there's Kevin
They're very
Malone.
young. They're very young, the
Yeah.
Hawks. But Trae Young is a stud. And they have nice pieces. They have big guy named John Collins. They have Kevin Herter who can shoot. A lot of good guys. It's really a shame because I was really looking forward to the Pelicans, but Zion Williamson's out 8 weeks with knee surgery.
8 weeks.
Tours meniscus.
Oh Jesus! Is this going to be a injury situation with him all the time now? This is the second time he's gotten hurt.
Certainly possible.
The Knicks, hopefully with R.J. Barrett, are going to start slowly rising back into relevance in the NBA. They're going to need to if they think that with all the
Well, the Knicks, they're not going to be the worst team, Brad,
no, I don't think so.
because you have Randall, who's a good player.
You got Morris, who's not bad either.
Mitchell Robinson
Mitchell Robinson was very good last
looked
year.
very good at the end of last year.
Smith, if he stays healthy, can be a pretty
Dennis
good point
Smith.
guard.
Kevin Knox was a guy that, man, he went right before the Sixers picked in that draft.
Well, you know what? He hurt his ankle last year in preseason, and he never really got into a rhythm. I think he only averaged about 14 points a game with a lot of playing time. So, hopefully he picks up his game. Hopefully he can get that up to like 16, 17 this year.
I feel like I'm missing someone in that backcourt.
The other, Portis. Bobby
Oh,
Portis.
Bobby Portis. Yeah, he's a power forward, but
Oh, okay.
he's a nice player. I liked him.
I mean, they
Played at Arkansas. He's been in the league,
Listen,
bounced around a little bit in the league.
20. I think 25 to 30 wins is realistic for them. They've got to show something because I know they signed a lot of guys to 1 and 2 year
Who's
contracts.
their coach?
Fisdale.
Okay.
But they want to.
That's right.
I know that they wanted that they signed a lot of guys to 1 and 2 year contracts so they could make a run at free agency. And if they want to do that, that's great. But these guys aren't going to come to you unless you start winning, unless you start showing something. That's how Brooklyn was able to get Durant and Kyrie Irving because they went out.
DeAndre Jordan too.
Yeah, and DeAndre Jordan. They went out and they won and they played good basketball. Now, were they the best team in the league? No, but you know what? They generated a little excitement.
No, they were the
and these
6th
guys,
seed. They gave the Sixers a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, and you know what? These guys are like, you know what? Brooklyn's cool. Listen, anybody would want to play in New York if there's a chance that they could win. But if you've got no chance to win, they're not going to want to play there. It doesn't matter if it's Madison Square Garden. It doesn't matter if the building's sold out every game. They're not going to play there until they start
The Knicks still
showing.
sell out every game?
Yes, they do.
Really?
You can't get a ticket for the Knicks. That's part of the problem.
Wow. Even how bad they are, they still sell out every night?
Rob, every night.
They sell out.
They sell out. You cannot get a Knicks ticket. I mean, you can get hockey tickets. You can get football tickets.
You can't get the Knicks.
You can't get the Knicks.
And they suck.
They're pathetic.
Imagine if they were good, man. Oh, man.
Well, the building, that is a great building to play in. I mean, all the stars still come. It's like Los Angeles. No matter how bad the Lakers are, you can't get a ticket for the Lakers. It's the same thing with the Knicks. Can't get a Knicks ticket. I mean, they go on sale. As soon as they go on sale, people call in Ticketmaster and they grab the tickets and that's it. Everybody goes to the Knicks games. The Rangers don't sell out like that. The Giants used to, but they still sell out. But the stadium's half empty. Nobody goes to the damn games because they're getting sick and tired of this stupidity already. The Jets, all their games are sold out, but they
well, that's football. That's a different beast with football.
Yeah, but a lot of people just don't go to the games anymore because they're so bad. That's how it is.
All right, so your NBA Finals prediction?
I am going to go with the Sixers and the Clippers, and I like the Clippers this year. I think the Clippers finally get over the hump.
All right, I'm going to pick the Sixers, beat the Lakers in the finals. If not now, when? With the Sixers. It's time for the process to put a bow on this bitch.
Okay.
Win a championship.
Okay. Well, listen, as I said, defensively, they're going to be the team to beat. Question is, will they score? Yeah, they might. And you know what? There's also a chance that they can pick up a shooter or two at the trade deadline. Don't have to be superstars, just somebody who can hit a three-pointer At the end of the game, there's a lot the good shooters. They're a dime a dozen. There's plenty of good shooters in the NBA.
2 comments on the back end from some A2D talent. Tom Arnone, last night was one of the worst losses I've been a part of. Over in the first 3 minutes, what a disgrace. Ryan Brodo checking in, fire Mike Crow with the hashtag. I don't know what that does, though, Brodo. Doug calls the plays.
You can't fire coaches in the middle of the season in the NFL. What is the point of doing that?
I don't know. I just think it's funny that
In the NFL, it just doesn't work because the NFL.
Remember when I said they should fire Jim Schwartz after week 2, and everyone said I was overreacting, and
yeah, well,
guy sucks.
Everybody,
coaching staff doesn't.
Apparently, everybody's agreeing with you now, Rob. So you weren't wrong about that.
Funny how that happens. Everyone thinks I'm crazy because I'm ahead of the curve, Brad. You may not think so. Remember I told you that we're going to look back in 4 or 5 weeks and that Atlanta loss is going to be really bad because Atlanta's not good.
You said that.
I'm ahead of the curve,
you said
Brad.
That. What did I tell you about the Browns?
You did. We're ahead of the curve here on Monday nights,
I
A2D
warned
Radio.
you guys about the Browns. I also
ahead of the curve.
I also warned you all last week about the Cowboys and the Eagles, that the Cowboys were not going to lose 4 in a row.
You picked the game correct.
I didn't have any other reason except to say there's no way they're losing 4 in a row. And you know what? That's why I like the Eagles this week, because I cannot see the Eagles with their pedigree losing 3 in a row. If they lose again, this
I
week,
sort of agree with you. I glanced at the line during our break, and it's the Eagles -2. Or I'm sorry, the Bills -2.
I take the Eagles plus the 2 points. Listen, the Eagles have the pedigree. I really like picking teams that get embarrassed. Like they get embarrassed the week, then the next week they show up. Well, they've been embarrassed 2 weeks in a row. They're going to show up this time. There's no way. You would hope. There's no way they're going to get smoked again. There's no way. Buffalo does not have the kind of team that can take advantage. Sure, they're not a blowout team. They're not a team that's going to throw the ball down the field. Okay, they're a physical team that likes to run the ball and play close to the vest. They're not going to be able to take advantage of the Eagles the way these other teams did. You know, and as good a defense as Buffalo has, and they do have a good defense, I think the Sixers, I'm sorry. I think the Eagles will keep it close to the vest, run the ball, not make any mistakes, and come away with a win. All right, from your mouth to God's ears, Brad, I hope so. And for this city's sake, I hope so. That'll do it for the Sports Hounds. We'll be back next Monday, same time for same place. Have a good night, everybody.